Hello, and welcome back to the Thought Leader Recruit podcast. I'm Sam Bylett, and today I'm joined by Richard Brock, the founder and CEO of Onboard Legal. Richard, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sam. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. Yeah, first, could you just share a bit more about the business and who you typically work with?
Yeah. So Onboard Legal, I started it a little less than 10 years ago. So we've been around for a while. We really serve the legal industry, particularly in the U.S. We don't do much internationally yet, but that's on the long-term horizon. But our clients are law firms and corporate legal departments. And we really, our core business is we place attorneys, primarily pretty senior level, partner level attorneys with law firms and corporations. We do a little bit of consulting work. We also help law firms facilitate law firm mergers, which is sort of an offshoot of recruiting, but that's our sandbox, and that's where we play.
And what brought you into legal recruiting world?
Well, I'm a lawyer by background,
Okay.
and I practiced for about 5 years, and that was long enough for me to know that I actually like lawyers. My father was a lawyer. I'm married to a lawyer. I'm a lawyer, but I didn't want to make my living that way. I wanted to be near it, but not working, as a practicing attorney. And so I had an opportunity to get into this business, and I took it, kind of took a chance, and I liked it. I like the business. I like it's at the end of the day, as you know, and all your listeners know, recruiting is really sales, right? At the end of the day, that's what it is. And I liked that. I liked the sales aspect of it. I liked, you know, you either win and you close the deal, or you don't. And it was a better fit for me, and that kind of got me started in the industry. And then this is my second business that I've had in the industry, and I've been doing it ever since.
Yeah, great stuff. And I read a statistic the other day. I think nearly 44% of legal departments plan to increase headcount this year, yet many are struggling to fill specialized roles. Are you seeing this play out with your clients?
Yeah, I am, and it's kind of interesting. The statistic that you read, it sounds like that was particularly talking about in-house legal departments, corporate legal departments is what it sounds like. And I know that has been a big push, and I think a lot of corporations. I think it's twofold. I think one, it's really beneficial. Or at least corporations of a certain size view it as beneficial to have lawyers under their roof, right? No matter how close their relationship is with their outside counsel, there's a place for both, but corporations like to have lawyers on their payroll under their roof that are solely working for them. So I think that's a part of it, just because that changes the relationship. I think that's a part of it. And two, of course, look, law firms are expensive. Outside legal counsel is expensive. Now, I would argue every single day that it's worth it. That if you need legal help, and we all do at various times in our careers, professions, personal life, whatever, there is no better use of good money than to hire a good attorney when you need one. But the fact of the matter is, lawyers are expensive. So I think to help manage some of that legal spend is another reason why there has been an uptick in hiring in corporate legal departments.
Interested. And how should law firms and legal departments be preparing for the next 12 to 18 months?
Yeah, that's a great question, and of course, a lot of people are spending a lot of time trying to figure that out. I think the big X factor, as everyone believes right now, is what's going to happen with the tariffs, right? It was just today or maybe yesterday that the administration announced that the U.S. and the U.K. seemingly have reached a deal. So that's obviously good news for everybody. I think assuming if we get more and more of that, I think people are generally going to be bullish on the economy, which means that corporations and then law firms and then individual lawyers, they're going to do what people typically do when they're bullish on the economy, and they start thinking about growth. They start thinking about expansion. They start thinking about how can I kind of take the next level. If the trade talks don't go as positively as people are hoping, then I think you're going to find companies, law firms, individuals being more cautious. They're going to retrench or at least hold steady. They're going to watch their cash more closely and try to ride out what they think may be a slower growth environment. So I don't think we know yet. Now, if you can believe what you hear out of Washington, we should be knowing by, I want to say July 1. Maybe that was the 90-day deadline the administration gave. So I think we'll all know relatively soon.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Yeah, right, exactly.
A lot of firms say we just can't find good people. Do you think there's a shortage of legal talent, or firms stuck using outdated hiring methods?
No, so look, so there are, if you pick the average American, and it would probably be the same in the UK, and if you ask the common person on the street, hey, do you think we have too many or not enough lawyers? They're going to say there's way too many lawyers out there. But what I think people who are in the industry understand is not all lawyers are created equally. There are all types of different lawyers out there, and the lawyers that like, for example, that my company works with, and most people who are in my industry work with, we work with the attorneys that are serving the business community, that are serving the corporations, banks, insurance companies, healthcare systems. That's who these law firms are serving. And they're looking for a certain profile, typically a certain type of lawyer, certain type of academic background. And there's very much a shortage of those kind of lawyers. Because if there wasn't, candidly, I wouldn't be in business. And that's something that I talk to my team about. Everybody be like, wow, this is a really hard search. And I said, well, we need to be thankful for hard searches, because if searches were easy, they wouldn't use us. If all you had to do was put up an ad on Indeed or LinkedIn and wait for the great candidates to come flowing into you, we'd be out of business. So that's maybe a long-winded way of answering your question. I think that there is most definitely a shortage of the kinds of lawyers that our clients are looking for.
Yeah, got it. And how aggressive is the headhunting landscape right now?
Just in general, how aggressive is the industry?
Yeah.
It's an interesting question, because you have to be aggressive, because, as I mentioned earlier, it's really a sales business, right? And if you're not aggressive in sales, if you're not aggressive in recruiting, it's going to be hard. I mean, you have to have that drive. You have to have that hunger, or it doesn't work. Now, having said that, we're dealing with really high-end professionals. So you have to engage them as the high-end professionals that they are. These are not people who are going to be typically responding to, ads on Indeed and billboards, for example. They have to be approached as the high-end professionals that they are. You have to be aggressive, but you have to be aggressive in the right manner.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. 2024, Thomas Reuter's report shows that 72% of legal departments are prioritizing tech adoption. How's the tech change your kind of workflow, and how do you see it changing recruitment?
That's a question that I think about a lot. And I know probably just about every professional and executive out there thinks about that question a lot, particularly with regards to AI, right? How does AI affect what we do? How can we use it as the powerful tool that it is? We talk about that internally with my team. We're still trying to figure out the best ways to use it. We use it for some sort of basic things. I think a part of why, now, I think if you're recruiting at certain levels, you can use AI to draft your emails, to create content for you, to make your ads, help you a lot with your marketing. We can do a little bit of that, but again, the type of audience that we are serving, both on the client side and the candidate side, makes it really difficult to kind of have a one size fits all communication program. I mean, and that's kind of going back to what I was saying earlier. They need to be approached like the professionals they are. These are not people that you can send, 100 emails and 100 text messages to, and that's what it's going to take to get them. If you do that to our audience, you're just going to repel them. You're just going to drive them away. So all that being said, we are using technology, we're using AI, we're trying to figure out what's the best and most effective way for us to use it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, especially in the law industry, using AI. Again, look at what you said. It's going to help, workflows and make things a lot easier. But yeah, dealing with people, it has to be the human touch, doesn't it? It can't be a bot or, like you said, 100 emails or texts. They're not going to have that for sure.
That's that you're not going to get very far with the people that we're going after. That's going to hurt you a lot more than it's going to help you. Now, I do know that a number of law firms are using AI for sort of basic legal tasks, some contract drafting, contract review, identifying terms, basic legal research, things of that nature. I know that's very much in play. A lot of our clients are doing that. So, and it's going to be interesting. And what's kind of interesting about that for people who are in the legal world is that's how a lot of young lawyers, kind of cut their teeth. That's how they get started. So much of that type of work is being automated that there are a lot of discussions within the industry about, okay, how do we, a lot of those tasks that we used to train our young lawyers on are now can be done more efficiently, much more efficiently by AI. So how are we best going to utilize this talent that we have? How do we get them ramped up as practicing lawyers, knowing that it's going to be very different than the way we all were ramped up when we were young lawyers. So that's an ongoing discussion, which is again, it's interesting to those of us who are in the industry. I don't know if it's interesting to anybody else, but it is interesting to us.
Yeah, no, it's interesting how it's going to play out without a doubt. Remote versus in office is still a big conversation. What are your clients saying, and where do you stand with it?
Yeah, that has really, I won't say that it's come full circle, but it has changed. Obviously when COVID hits, everybody goes remote, and law firms, to some extent, corporate legal departments, but most definitely law firms sort of thought or believed that they thought that their lawyers could work just as effectively, just as efficiently from home as they could from the office. Now, I do think corporations, in-house corporate legal departments, they were fairly eager to get folks back, by and large, were more eager to get folks back to the office. But for a year or two, and this is maybe, 2023-ish, everybody thought, okay, this is going to work great. We had a fantastic year. Everybody worked from home. We can save on real estate. Get to kind of, the latter part of 2023 and into 2024, the pendulum really swung back the other way. People realized that no, actually, you really need that face-to-face, especially when you're collaborating on significant projects. Again, when you have younger lawyers who need mentoring, who need training. So I'll say just within the last year, 6 months for sure, the pendulum has really swung back to where the vast majority of the legal industry, they want their folks in-house. Maybe in the office. Maybe you might get one day a week, maybe every Friday, or something. You could work remotely if you want to, but the pendulum really, it swung back pretty far, pretty quickly in the grand scheme of things. So it's not nearly the topic that it used to be. And I'd be curious to hear if that's been replicated in other industries, if it's been similar.
I think it's still a very big talking point, isn't it?
Yeah.
I pretty much ask this question on every podcast, and it's always a kind of varied answer. And I don't think there's a right or wrong to it, is there? It's, it fits some companies, it fits some individuals. It's just really interesting. I think the main thing is that firms now just have that flexibility to kind of, or else they lose, real good candidates. Otherwise, it's being too rigid. I think it's probably not the way forward these days, but it's an interesting topic all the same.
It is, because it seems to be shifting
Yeah, yeah.
for sure.
I also saw that over 85% of legal hires still come through relationships and referrals. How do you coach candidates to use networking to their advantage?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So, um, I think like most professions, networking is, that's going to open more doors than anything else. And that's whether you are just starting the process of a job hunt, whether you're working with a recruiter, whether you're not, because, obviously the situations that we know the most about are ones in which, a recruiter is involved, because that's what we do. But even within that, like for example, we'll tell our candidates, well, look, you know, we think you'd be a great fit for XYZ law firm or ABC Corporation, whatever. We'll always encourage them, look, kind of take a look at that roster. And if you know somebody there, former law school classmate, a friend, a colleague, or, whatever the relationship is, let us know. Cause that can make a huge difference. I mean, just even a sort of a loose connection in your network can make a tremendous difference in helping you stand out. And one person who can vouch for you and can be like, well, yeah, I went to law school with Sam. He's a great guy. If we're interviewing him, that's great. Let me know. I want to say hello to him. That can make a huge difference. But yeah, network. I mean, as you know, your network will be really important throughout your career.
Yeah, yeah. What's the saying? Your net work is your net worth.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I suppose as well, LinkedIn is also quite a powerful tool to have as well these days. It's getting more and more prevalent now, isn't it? Than a standard CV almost.
It really, really is. The guys who did LinkedIn were really, really smart. They basically got everybody hooked on their site and dependent on their site, and then they started charging everybody for it, which is brilliant. So yeah, I mean LinkedIn. I mean, 10 years ago, we didn't. We might have used it a little bit, but we didn't use it a lot. And it has become much, much more prevalent. And I think that's universal. There's no question.
Yeah, it's completely exploded, isn't it? I don't think, especially recruiters, they can't live without it now. I don't think it's there's nothing like it, nothing else really like it, is there? That's on the market. I think there is a couple of similar platforms, but nothing like LinkedIn.
They don't really have any competitors that I'm aware of. I mean, not at anywhere near the scale
No,
where LinkedIn is. So it's been impressive what they've done.
absolutely. And what's your view on where recruitment is heading in the legal space over the next 5 years?
Another question that I spend a lot of time thinking about.
Yeah,
I I believe it will. Well, first of all, I guess I should preface this by saying I'm an optimist, right? I mean, you don't become an entrepreneur if you're not an optimist. I think that kind of has to be hardwired in. But having said that, I do believe the legal recruiting market will continue to be healthy and vibrant. I'm sure it'll change because things always change, but I do think it'll continue to be there. And the main reason is, and I'm sure this applies to a number of industries, legal just happens to be the industry that I know the best. Law firms, corporate legal departments, they're always going to need talent, right? They're always going to need the type of talent that best fits their need. And like with law firms, for example, that's primarily partners who have books of business, who have client base. That's kind of the foundation of talent acquisition in the legal space. That's what everybody and it's hard for me to envision a time when a law firm would be like, "Hey, you've got a corporate mergers and acquisition partner who's got a $3 million book of business. Yeah, I'm not really interested in her." I don't see a time. It's hard for me to envision that happening because law firms are always going to want that person, or whatever the number threshold is. It's basically talent, right? I mean, we're in the talent acquisition business, and law firms are run on talent. That's really all. If you think about it, it's really all they have, right? They got the time and talent of their lawyers. They don't have anything else to sell. So they don't make widgets. They don't sell products. They sell the time and talents of their attorneys. So it is hard for me to foresee a time when there will not be a demand for talented lawyers.
Yeah, absolutely.
At least I certainly hope that's the case, but I do think that's the case.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. And Richard, it's been a brilliant conversation. For anyone listening, either it's a law firm or a candidate who wants to tap into your knowledge or work with you on Onboard Legal, where's the best place to find you?
Well, thank you. I appreciate you asking me that, Sam. So, two places. My company, you may be able to see the sign behind me. My company is Onboard Legal, onboardlegal.com. I actually wrote a book too about talent acquisition in the legal space. The name of my book is Win the Talent Game, and you can find that either on my company's website or the website, which is just my name, richardbrock.com. And it can be, you can link to Amazon, and then anyone who has an interest could buy the book by that channel as well.
Great stuff, Richard. Thanks very much. I really appreciate it on the day. Yeah, and thanks again for joining us on the Thought Leader Recruiter.
Sam, I've enjoyed